I'm ChaseTriesAgain, and I've re-recorded this audio 3 times. This is a character build video for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I wanted to play a Doombot in D&D. So I am something of a forever DM. I enjoy the gig, but it's been 5 or 6 years since I sat on the player side of the table, and I've got a backlog of character ideas a mile deep. I'm going to share some of those ideas here for you to adopt into your own games as player characters or NPCs. First up in this video, it's the Doombot. Now, if you're not familiar, Doombots hail from Marvel Comics, where they are the creation of Victor Von Doom himself. Doombots do Dr. Doom's dirty work, getting into fistfights with the Hulk, calling Spider-Man mean names, what have you, so that Doom himself is free to ruin Reed Richards' birthday party, or take a vacation, or whatever. But the key thing about Doombots is that they genuinely believe they are Dr. Doom, and they can fool everyone else, including some telepaths, into believing that they're the genuine article. And that's the thing I really want to play with at the core of this character concept. I think it would be fun to play a character that really genuinely believes he's a big bad spellcaster from the setting's history, but actually he's a newbie adventurer, probably a warforged. So that's the concept. Pretty simple. How would you build it? I'm going to take this D&D 5th edition build to level 6. The end result is going to be a warforged clockwork soul sorcerer / hexblade with the sage background. I'm using the standard array for my ability scores. Since we're doubling down on charisma casting, the highest score goes to charisma, second highest to dexterity, and third highest goes to constitution. I put the 12 in intelligence and 10 in wisdom because of my plans for proficiencies. Dump stat goes to strength. Warforged gets constructed resilience and sentry's rest, both nice, and integrated protection gives us a bonus to AC, so we can start with an AC 13 on our fairly squishy caster. We've also got a couple of choices to make for our Warforged. I'm putting the floating ability score increase into charisma to bump us up to 16 and a +3 modifier. Specialized design also gives us a tool proficiency and a skill proficiency of our choice. For our tool proficiency, I'm picking Tinker's tools. I think Smith's tools would also be flavorful. And for our skill, I'm going to grab Perception, just so we can add our proficiency bonus to our passive perception. Language-wise, we get Common and 1 extra of our choice. I'm going to grab Draconic. That seems fitting for someone that thinks they're a powerful mage. I'm pretty ambivalent on 5e backgrounds, but Sage gives us the flavor I'm looking for. A couple of additional languages snags us Celestial and Infernal, and proficiency in Arcana and History ties back in nicely to our origin. Now we can finally get into our Clockwork Soul Sorcerer stuff. I'm grabbing proficiencies in Deception and Persuasion. At first level, we get 4 cantrips, 2 spells of our choice, and 2 spells from Clockwork Soul, plus 2 first level spell slots. For my cantrips, I'm taking Mage Hand, Mind Sliver, Prestidigitation, and Shocking Grasp. For my spells, I'm taking Magic Missile and Sleep. Clockwork Soul gives us Alarm and Protection from Evil and Good. We can change those out at later levels. We also get Restore Balance at level 1, which can negate advantage or disadvantage a number of times, equal to our proficiency mod, so that's nice. Sorcerer level 2 gets us access to Font of Magic and our first 2 sorcery points. We also grab another spell. I'm taking Silvery Barbs, and I'm trading out Alarm for Shield. Sorcerer level 3 gets us meta magic options. I'm going with Distant Spell to increase range, and Quicken Spell so I can make a little more use of my turns. We also get access to 2nd level spells. From Clockwork Soul we get Aid and Lesser Restoration, and I'm going to grab Scorching Ray. Sorcerer level 4 gets us to our first ABI. I'm going to take a feat, Spell Sniper, and I get a cantrip with that, so I'll take Firebolt. Sorcerer gets me another cantrip. I'm going to take Green Flame Blade, even though we won't get much use of that until we get another level. And I get another spell. I'm going to take Tasha's Mind Whip, although Spider Climb is tempting just for the fun of it. That gets us to level 5, and it's finally time to multi-class into Hexblade Warlock. We get proficiency in light and medium armor, as well as simple and martial weapons and shields. We get 2 cantrips, so I'm taking Booming Blade and Eldritch Blast for the cantrips. For my spells, I'm taking Armor of Agathis and Arms of Hadar. We start with the Juicem Hexblade's Curse and Hex Warrior, which lets us use Charisma for our melee attacks. And we're going to stick with Warlock for level 6 and get another spell and 2 invocations. For the spell, I've taken Witch Bolt, but there might be better choices. For invocations, Agonizing Blast is a given to boost that Eldritch Blast damage. There are a couple of other good choices to kit out Eldritch Blast. I almost went with Grasp of Hadar so I can drag people into melee range, but Eldritch Spear will increase our range on the blast to a goofy degree. That's where I'm stopping with this build though. The next level is, to my mind, a party-dependent choice. It could be useful to grab one more level of Warlock and get the benefits of Pact of the Blade, but that also means foregoing the Clockwork Soul's 18th level Clockwork Cavalcade, which might be useful if you're short on support casters. For equipment, I'd recommend a breastplate when possible to bump your AC up to 17. For my Hexblade weapon, I'm going to go with a longsword. This is obviously not a super focused build, but it does have some neat synergies. Eldritch Blast now has a range of 600 feet thanks to Eldritch Spear and Spell Sniper. You can bump that up even further to 1200 feet if you spend sorcery points on Distant Spell, or you can go Quicken Spell and get 2 castings of Eldritch Blast into one turn. Shocking Grasp is also fun. If you spend your points on it with Distant Spell, it becomes a ranged spell up to 60 feet with Spell Sniper, and it has advantage on critters and metal armor. Later on, Trance of Order will synergize nicely with our melee options, and Armor of Agathis and Arms of Hadar give us some additional tools to deal with enemies at close range. Flavor-wise, I think Sorcerer makes the most sense for a character that wakes up with powers that he hasn't studied, and I like the ambiguity our character gets from Clockwork Soul's dips into Cleric and Wizard toolboxes. It really puts a question mark over his origins and purpose. So who is this guy? Victor woke up in the wilderness a month before the start of whatever adventure the GM has planned. He remembers himself as a mighty artificer lording over a vast domain, and he still has a letter from an old colleague about their experiments to transplant human consciousness into an automaton and achieve immortality. And he vaguely recognizes his surroundings. But the nearest village has never heard of him, and his mighty magics are all but gone, so he takes up with adventurers because they're his best bet for figuring out what the hell happened. A few adventures down the road, he's questioning who and what he really is, and that's when he comes across a talking sword. That sword claims to have been made by the real Victor, whatever that means, and that sets us up for some cool questions. Will it turn out that Victor's creator was partially successful and he and Victor are basically one and the same? Or will it turn out that he failed, leaving Victor to build his own identity? What about the sword? Is it telling the truth? Maybe Victor's maker is trapped in the sword and trying to find a way out. Maybe Victor's maker was successful with a later attempt and he's still out there lurking somewhere. Lots of cool places we can go from there. This is definitely the kind of backstory you need to run by your game master and party beforehand, at least to some degree. And remember, you're responsible for figuring out why your character is going on an adventure with everyone else. Now, in a different draft of this video, I did a Pathfinder 2e build of Victor, but I'm just not confident enough in my understanding of Pathfinder to put that out on the internet in full form. I will say I went Inventor for the class, and I ended up with this tanky, no magic, all metal character that felt so fully different from Victor at just first level. I loved the way that extruding a character concept through different mechanics, different classes, or systems can give you something with the same core but a totally different texture. I hope that gives you some ideas. Since I didn't get this posted last week, I may have 2 videos to share this week, time and energy allowing. I've got reviews of The Quiet Year and Worldwide Wrestling in the pipeline, more ideas stolen from cool shows, books, and games to share, and more characters to put up for adoption. For now, I'm ChaseTriesAgain. Do the social stuff if you feel like it, and be sure to let me know if Victor ends up in your campaign. Until next time.